The Silver Bladedancer is the latest subclass added to the Sword Dancer of Eilistraee mod, and whereas the last ones were a bit more spellcasting focused or hybrids, this one is pure melee. So let's go over it. We're going to level by level, comment on all the items you could need. So of course we start with the Sword Dancer of Eilistraee mod. This will give you proficiencies with musical instruments, daggers, sickles, longswords, short swords, rapiers, scimitars, and light armour. And that brings us to the Silver Bladedancer Domain. So blessed by Eilistraee, Silver Bladedancers turn combat into sacred performance, each step deliberate, each strike radiant. Their blades shimmer like moonlight on steel, weaving through enemies in elegant arcs of divine fury. In later levels, their dance quickens into a relentless flurry, allowing up to 4 strikes in a single motion. Though each successive attack grows fainter and less precise, landing every blow channels the Dark Maiden's favour, surging divine energy through their form. Swift, graceful and unyielding, the Silver Bladedancer is both sword and song, a ringing echo of Eilistraee's wraith in battle. That will bring you proficiencies with dex and charisma saving throws, musical instruments as we went over, and everything else is the same. Now you get to pick a starting instrument, pick any you want, and that brings us to ability points, and for this we get 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 16 charisma as this will be your spellcasting modifier. For your proficiencies, take what fits your roleplay. Level 2 brings us Moonlit Grace. Your weapon flows with divine moonlight, refined by the grace of Eilistraee. When wielding a dagger, sickle, shortsword, longsword, rapier, or scimitar in your main hand without a shield, it gains the finesse property and counts as magical, meaning you can use dex for it. Begin channel divinity charge. Bladedancer. So with silver grace and blade-bound artistry, you flow through battle as if guided by rhythm itself. When not wearing medium or heavy armour, not wearing a shield and wielding a blade-proficient melee weapon, which we just went over, you can blade dance once per turn in reaction to a melee weapon attack, ranged weapon attack, cantrip or spell, reducing the incoming damage by 1d4 plus your dex modifier plus half your blade dancer level. This is awesome for protecting yourself. We also gain Eilistraee's dance, so perform an elegant battle dance until the end of your next turn. You gain the benefits of freedom of movement, disengage, advantage on dex saving throws, and plus 2 to your AC, and you can make a melee weapon as a bonus action on the turn when you cast this, and it will cost 1 channel divinity charge. Now we get to pick a fighting style, and either or work here. For me personally, I do think defense is a little better, but 2-weapon fighting also works very, very well because we will be dual wielding. So honestly, either or will work. I'm just going to go with defense. Level 3 brings us a bunch of new abilities, so we gain Tempo. Damage from Blade Dance abilities grants 1 Tempo. Upon reaching 2 Tempo, you achieve Cadence, entering a heightened state, allowing you powerful finishing techniques. Starting at level 13, this does go to level 20, Blade Dance abilities will generate 2 Tempo. So essentially you use your Blade Dance abilities to gain a Tempo. When you get 2 Tempo, you gain Cadence, and Cadence lets you cast better abilities. Sounds very confusing, it's easier to show you in the combat tutorial. Tempo Research. After using Blade Dance abilities that consume Tempo, your following Blade Dance abilities this turn have an attack roll penalty. Instead, have that penalty reduced by 1. So this is a nice way for them to sort of like balance things out. As you'll see here at the bottom, it says attack roll reduced by -4 when using this ability. So what that means is with the Research, it'll be a -3 if you use it on your next turn. But essentially, these minuses to your attack is just a nice way to sort of balance out the damage output. So, Radiant Prelude. You begin your Blade Dance performance with a focused thrust dealing 8 to 14 radiant damage, your blade gleaming with divine light as it pierces through the air. This opening strike sets the rhythm radiant, precise and unwavering, and if you hit, 1 Tempo. We also gain Radiant Beat, so this is essentially the same kind of thing, it's 8 to 14 radiant damage again. And Encore of Pain. You force your body through the pain, delivering a flawless continuation of your performance. To the end of your turn, all Blade Dance abilities gain a +3 to attack rolls based on your Charisma modifier. However, your precision comes at cost, and you take damage for each Blade Dance attack you make this turn. So you get a spell, allowing you to do more, but you will take damage for doing so. It's all a way of balancing everything together. Now we get to pick 2 abilities here, and for the first one we're going to take Combat Rhythm. You enter a flowing tempo of movement, enhancing blade and breath in a harmonious rhythm. You add half your Charisma modifier to attack rolls, and gain advantage in acrobatics. Lasts for 10 turns as a bonus action. We're going to pair this very nicely with Silverguard. So you basically put protective aura around yourself. While wearing light armor or no armor, we gain a +2 bonus to armor class and intelligence and wisdom saving throws. This does not work with unarmored defense or mage armor, but you can cast this as soon as you leave combat. We get an expanded spell here. For this one, we're going to be taking Moonlight Shards, as this is basically the cold version of a magic missile. Now, on console, you will notice there is a thing missing here, and that is your ASI or your feat. So, for this, you are going to want to take your dex from 16 to 18. I have no way of doing that because the feats on this mod aren't working. But what we do get is Vendetta. Each time an enemy deals damage to you, they become marked by your Rising Resolve. For the next 2 turns, Blade Dance abilities that have an attack rapidity will have that rapidity reduced by 1 once again. We also get Ascending Echo. You continue your Blade Dance with the rising/cutting upwards in a graceful arc that reverberates with sonic force, dealing 8 to 14 psychic damage. The motion carries mental echoes that linger in the minds of your foes. So, attack rolls reduced by -6, pretty significant, but if you do hit, 1 tempo. And Sonic Refrain. You continue your Blade Dance with Sonic Flourish, vanishing in a shimmer of mental energy and reappearing mid-slash beside your target, dealing 8 to 14 damage once again. Same thing, if you hit 1 tempo, but if you miss, a -6 to your attack roll. Level 5 brings tempo, so we gain 2 additional tempo, allowing the use of powerful finishing techniques. Silver Crescendo. You close your Blade Dance performance with a sweeping final arc, 8 to 15 cold damage. On a hit, 1 tempo, but a -8 to your attack roll. Same with Silver Finale, 8 to 15 cold damage, 1 tempo on a hit, -8 to hit. We gain another new spell here, and for this one we will be taking Aria of Blades. You enter a spinning flourish, your blades orbiting with flawless rhythm, orbiting with flawless rhythm as radiant psychic energy cascade from each motion, dealing 1 to 8 radiant and psychic damage. So, targets will still take half damage on a hit, and deals additional damage with tempo abilities. This does cost 2 tempo to do though. Level 6 brings another new spell. We also gain 1 more ability, and for this one I really do like taking the Glissade of Moonfrost. So basically we shoot a arc of freezing energy. It deals 3 to 18 cold damage. On a save they still take half damage, and again this does cost 2 tempo. Sword Dancer of Eilistraee level 7 brings us level 2 spell slots now, and we gain 2 more tempo, allowing us powerful finishing techniques. Now for your Blade Dance here we are going to take the Luminous Elegy. So 9 meter line of radiant damage, 3 to 24, and on a save they still take half damage, and it only costs 2 tempo. Now once again, sadly at level 8 you will see we're missing our feat, but take your dex from 18 to 20. And for expanded spell here we are going to take Lunar Bolt. This is the cold and radiant version of Guiding Bolt. Level 9 once again brings more tempo, so 2 more additional tempo. Level 10, more spell slots unlocked. We gain another ability here, so for this one we are going to be taking Final Note. Execute a flawless singular strike with the last note of a deadly rhythm. With perfect time and home precision, you slash through a single foe, 4 to 24 psychic damage, half damage on a save, and cost 2 tempo. The Sword Dancer of Eilistraee level 11 brings Eternal Dance. We've become so attuned with Eilistraee's own dance and song that all our movements are cloaked in unearthly grace. You ignore the effect's difficult terrain, advantage on acrobatics, and if a spell effect will deal half damage on a successful dex save, it deals no damage, only half if we fail. Very roguish now. We gain 1 more ability, and for this one we will take the Silver Blades. Allows you to conjure a pair of silver spectral blades in your hands. They'll each deal an additional 1d4 of psychic, radiant or cold damage, ignores slashing resistance, a bonus to attack and damage rolls, and lasts for 4 turns. It will also deal additional damage with tempo abilities. The Sword Dancer of Eilistraee level 12 brings a new spell, and for this one the final one we can take is Shared Tempo. So you share the rhythm of your performance with a chosen ally, allowing them to act in perfect harmony with the flow, to immediately perform a free melee weapon attack or ranged weapon attack, or cast a cantrip without consuming any of their own actions for 2 turns. This does cost 4 tempo though. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with the Mask of Soul Perception, +2 bonus to attack rolls, initiative and perception checks. The +2 to attack rolls, a really awesome way of nullifying those -4s, -6, -8s to your Blade Dancer abilities. The Cloak of Displacement, this will activate at the beginning of our turn, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against us until we're hit, or some way to protect ourselves. The Disintegrating Nightwalkers, so we cannot be enwebbed, entangled or ensnared, can't slip on ice or grease, but most importantly, we can Misty Step. I like the Studded Leather Armour, 1 less bludgeoning damage and a use of Ambusher for the +1 bonus to initiative. There are more options you could go with though. The two I would suggest at a high level. The Ballist Armour, but obviously this is going to depend on your roleplay, but this will make enemies within you or within 3 meters of you vulnerable to piercing damage and a +2 to your initiative. Your other option, when I see it on my list here, is another piece of light armour just here, and that would be a more buffed up version of the first one, the Elegant Studded Leather Armour, which will give you a use of shield as well to protect yourself. For gloves, the Helldust Gloves, +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, and our weapon attacks will deal 1 to 6 fire damage. The Shifting Corpus Ring for invisibility and blur. The Caustic Band for 2 acid damage. The Amulet of Baal, so on a hit on enemies with 4 hit points, will inflict bleeding. And then for weapons, I've gone with the same 2 swords I use on my rogues, and that is in the main hand, the Sword of Life Stealing. On a crit, the target takes an additional 10 necrotic damage, and we gain 10 temporary hit points. And in my offhand, Ambusher, +1 to initiative, and in combat we do an additional 1 to 6 necrotic damage against creatures that haven't taken a turn yet. Now, before we do anything else, we are going to do our Silver Guard. This will add a +2 to our armor class. So as you'll see here, we're currently sitting at 18 armor class. We'll come in here, cast this at first level, and you'll see we're now sitting at apparently still 18. Okay, so you saw we turned it on. Now for some reason it hasn't added the +2 to our armor class. I'm not really sure why. So let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, so you can see we're in the combat. Now let's get this started. We are top of the turn order, even though our dex isn't amazing because we've not been able to buff it. Now you'll see we have our Channel Divinity and a bunch of abilities. So let us start. Now with our first attack, we're just going to do pure attacks. We're not going to worry about our features. I want to show off our weapons because obviously we've got Ambusher where we get extra damage. So if we just attack Skeeve here, and there you go. We took out a pretty decent chunk of damage. Other things we can do. We can get those lovely spectral weapons, guys. So let's get some Dawn Shard. And we'll do this at level 1. And now you see we've got these awesome new ethereal blades in our inventory. And we come and check them out. Pretty decent damage with these. And they can ignore slashing damage. So it's a really worthwhile spell. The issue is it will use your main action. But of course, because we're dual wielding, we can follow this up with a offhand. And there you go, get that bleed. Okay, so you see we're about to take damage again. Let's do our Blade Dancer to reduce it. And there you go, we only took 5 damage from that whole attack. We can do this again if we want to, we're not going to though. So you can see the difference there. And again, we reduced our damage and we only took 1 that turn. Okay, so let's start showing off some of our abilities. And we'll start with Final Note. This will be 4 to 24 psychic damage and cost 2 tempo. We'll do this at level 1 and we'll target Skeeve behind us. And there you go, now unfortunately they did make their save, not ideal, but we still have our bonus action available, so if we wanted to do some combat rhythm, we can do our offhand, so we can strike once again, just like that. You see 2 big misses there, thanks to the Cloak of Displacement. Now, we can do our Eilistraee's Dance to use our Channel Divinity, +4 to our AC, melee weapon attacks as bonus action on this turn, all sorts of fun things. So let's get that going, really buff ourselves up. And now, you see we've got our main hand unavailable, but we still have our offhand melee. And there you go, take a big hit there. And we've now got that huge increase to our AC of 22. And you'll see 2 more big misses. Now we also have other abilities we can do, so if we were to come up here, we'll move in front of our line of enemies here, and we know we've got some arc spells, so. And that would be the Glissade of Moonfrost. So if we do this, we can't quite hit all 3, but we can hit these 2. And there you go, you see we get the cold damage and the radiant. And of course we still get to follow up with our melee strike, so we did that here. And there we go. 2 more awesome misses. Now you'll see our weapons are gone, our nice little spectral ones. And I do think the damage up with your main weapons we've chosen is better, as you can see there. It's just a higher number, so while the other ones are cool, I do think it's more beneficial to just use our short swords. But of course we also know we have our other spells. For example, we have our Moonlight Shards, which is our version of Magic Missile. So we could throw this down on... let's do Sledge here, why not? And there you go. Not the biggest damage, but then Magic Missile never is. And of course we can come in here, once again, follow up with another offhand. Just like that. Okay, you can see we got thrown down the bottom, so let's Misty Step. We'll come up here. And we've got enemies in a line, which means we have the ability now where we could do our elegy if we had enough tempo. Unfortunately we don't. Unfortunately with the tempo I'm not able to build enough because my attack chance is so low because of no ASIs. It's a bit unfortunate, but it kind of is what it is when the mods, or sorry, when the ASIs aren't working. But we can just stab, still get rid of enemy, you see the damage output. You see we landed 2 massive crits then, and we got the plus 10 extra hit points. So that is the Silver Bladedancer. Obviously this mod works really well on PC. On console, a few little hiccups, but it's still really fun, especially if you want to be a drow. It's a nice thematic way of doing that. So we hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please drop the episode a like and check out the mod. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel for more. I've got more guides to Baldur's Gate, Path of Exile, Dragon Age, Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, Elden Ring, Expedition 33, all the amazing RPGs you could ever need. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.